My name is André Plante. I'm currently a faculty at the Conestoga College in the VR production program. And basically, my role is to sort of set I would say, the foundation for new students doing history of VR, some of the theory behind it, and the new trends, basically. So this is a bit different because it's not a biology class that uses it for anatomy. We are really developing projects. Students are creating games, are creating experience using different software, Unity and the like. So the students are really engaged and already really excited about VR. So we don't have to do this sell or this marketing to make sure that people understand what is or XR. So this is quite different. It's really about production, about understanding how you can storytell with VR, or you can create simulation, or you can create experiences. The experience that I did is what I would call an exemplar. It's not necessarily something that the students will have to do and pass, or it's an example for them to sort of see that we can use VR in other things than gaming. Students are really interested in gaming, and of course, and that's what really has been an engine behind VR. But there's also the whole industrial side of it. So I wanted them to understand that there's different industries, different avenues that they can also explore. So I did an exemplar of a pizza making line. I wanted something, a few step process kind of things, and basically wanted people to interact with the dough, with the toppings, with the oven itself. So I did the 6 steps basically in creating pizza, where the user is basically asked to follow some steps and then move on to the next sort of chapter, be it baking, be it packaging, etc., etc. But it could be applied to anything. Could be applied to welding. Could be applied to any other things. So I've shown it to my students, and I've also sort of self-promote a little bit on LinkedIn. People are, they find it quite interesting. They find it quite engaging. I haven't tested it with users, but it's a fairly simple example. I don't think people would have a lot of trouble with it. But overall, I think people are reacting with a bit of awe and a bit of a wonderment at being able to do those kind of things. And that's in big part because of the kind of look and feel of Zoe as well. It's not hyper realistic, but it's not it is kind of a nice place on that spectrum where you feel that you recognize the things. They're not that basic, but they're not necessarily high realism and whatnot. I mean, I think as from a teacher point of view, we all want to teach certain modules, certain things that we think would work well in VR. So it has to be focused on that. But at the same time, curriculum is different from one place to another, and it's great for people to be able, without having a huge design or development background, to be able to get in to create a space to set up your scene or whatnot, and that way it's very accessible for teachers. Don't have to spend hours and hours. I'm really interested in language. I've done some work in Japanese and in English. So I think there's potential there. Again, the limitation right now is the text engine that's there currently. But I think that you can also use assets. You can use all sort of things to represent kanji or other symbols. But yes, it's something that you can within 2 3 weeks a month create a very nice package module, and being able to have your students use it, or create modules for other people if you are more of a designer slash developer. The main fear for people is obviously, this is hardware. You have to have a headset. You have to but once people are sort of I've done a few session inside of a VR headset. It's not nothing that difficult to do. But what I think is that you need to know that whatever you do has to have a clear purpose, a clear goal. It doesn't have to be a 3 hour experience. It can be a 3 minute experience. And you can demonstrate thing. And of course, VR is about space, is about feeling that you're in a different environment, being able to do something that maybe is not really safe to do in real life, but that you can sort of experiment. Firefighting, all sort of things that you could sort of do in there. Um, I think it's a question of understanding that you don't have to develop a full course. You can do modules for your course. You can, if there's something that your students are struggling with, be it geometry or anything in K to 12, this is a great place for people to see and walk around and try things, right? So I think that's the potential. And not think that you have to spend a year developing a module or an enormous amount of money, or it's possible to do with the assets that are there, and with all the interaction that's possible. We need more tools like this where you can actually create inside of VR, as opposed to, Unity and Unreal, they're great. But you're working on a flat surface and then you test it in your headset. To be able to build and to create inside of a VR space is amazing. And so the type of things you can ask your students to do is not only to respond to what you've done, but you can ask them to build as well, to create things with Zoe. So I think there's a lot of potential, but I think this is the main point here, is to be able to do it inside of the headset and see the result right away, and being able to test, retest, and all of those great things. So I think the community also that's building right now, where people will be able to sort of help each other, or look at when you publish and look at your things and give you some feedback, is really important for teacher.